Alright, so we are now almost reaching the end of this training. Uh, we have reached last three slides as you can see on the bottom left of your screen. This is the third last slide, and then we'll have a second last slide, and then the last slide, and your training is over, and then you will start creating the games for us. Now, what are the golden checks? So, we have talked about two important things. One is that we've talked about 7 steps. We have talked about 7 steps of this assignment. Then we talked about important list principles to follow. So, how are golden checks different? These are just a checklist. These 5 points are the checklist for you to have a look at before you submit the game to us. I don't want you to give us wrong submission. I don't want you to do a lot of rework and be demotivated because you are getting to work again and again on the game. So to minimize your effort and to minimize our effort, basically golden checks are to be used. uh, so these checks will are like your own checkpoints, or your own check marks that you need to put before you submit the PPT to us. So first thing is, before submitting the game or the PPT, ask yourself the following questions. Number one, have I covered the concept to be taught? The last thing that I want from you is to submit the game which does not cover the concept that is to be taught. Now that will be a disaster. There is no point in creating any game which does not cover the concept to be taught. So, have I covered the concept to be taught is the first question that you need to ask yourself before submitting the game. If the answer to that question is yes, then you move to the next question and you ask yourself the next question, which is, have I stuck to the overall theme? uh, and this overall theme obviously is going to be given to you in the master file. But have I stuck to the overall theme is the question that you need to ask yourself before submitting. Mysterious planets, park jungles for addition, underwater for subtraction. So if the answer to the second question is yes, then you move to the third point, which is the point number C. Now, the point number C and the question number C is my PPT 100% detailed with exact screens and explanation comments? I repeat, the question that you need to ask yourself before submitting your PPT is that, is my PPT 100% detailed with exact screens? And the question is exact screens and explanation comments. The designer and developer will not use their minds and will simply replicate your PPT into the game. I already told you before as well that the designer and developer will not use their mind. Only this person is supposed to use the mind and create the game. So the third question that you need to ask yourself is my PPT 100% detailed, and I repeat 100% detailed with exact screens and explanation comments? The designer and developer will not use their minds and will simply replicate your PPT into the game. So, if the answer to the third question is yes, then you move to the fourth question. The fourth question is, have I followed the important principles mentioned above? The important steps, the 7 steps, and important principles above. Right, so when I say the 7 steps, so the question that you need to ask is, have I followed each one of these? Have I followed each one of these 7 steps? And have I followed each one of these principles or not? Before you need to ask yourself that question before you make the submission. And the last question that you need to ask yourself is, have I used the game elements? So you already know that these are the game elements. Have I used them? Have I not used them? That is the next question that you need to answer. If the answer of all the questions is yes, then there is one final question that you need to answer. And that question I will tell you in the next lesson. So make sure you ask yourself these 5 questions before you make a submission two planets path of your PowerPoint presentation. Apart from these five, there is one more final question that you need to ask yourself, and that I will discuss in the next lesson.